Hello and welcome to lesson 41 of this B1 course with Perfectly Spoken. My name is Ellen and I'm going to be with you from lesson 41 until the end of the course, taking your IELTS score from about 4.5, where it is at the moment, up to a score of about 5. We will do this by focusing on areas of grammar and vocabulary to improve your English and your understanding of English. Okay, let's get started. Thank you for joining me today. Today's lesson takes a grammar focus and we're going to be talking about the future. Today we will practice talking about future plans using different structures, different verb forms. Some will be familiar, but let's have a look. Okay, we'll practice using will, going to, and the present continuous. I imagine that will is familiar for talking about the future. Going to is actually very, very common in natural spoken English. And the present continuous, perhaps you're familiar with it to talk about the present, to talk about actions, things happening around now, but perhaps not for future plans. And that's what we're going to think about today, because it's very, very common and very useful. Okay, we're going to practice using contractions and sounding more natural. This will help you in your spoken English and also in your listening skills for understanding when people speak to you. We're also going to review some useful future time expressions. Okay, we're going to focus on the form, the meaning, and the use of these different structures. First of all, starting with the form. So here we go. And the form of will and won't. This may be familiar, probably is familiar, but let's just review it. So in positive and negative sentences, we have the subject, will or won't, and the infinitive. For example, I will, I won't have a party this weekend. You will, you won't go out on Friday night. She will, she won't see her friends tomorrow. So this is quite simple because will and the verb don't change depending on the subject. I will have, you will go, she will see. It's always the same, will or won't, and the infinitive. Okay, and in questions, will and the subject, they're inverted, so it's will, subject, and the infinitive. For example, will you have a party this weekend? Yes, I will. No, I won't. Okay, and let's look at the form of be going to. So in positive and negative sentences, we have the subject, the verb to be, not if it's negative, going to, and the infinitive. For example, I am going to dance at the party. I'm not going to dance at the party. You are going to watch TV tonight. You aren't going to watch TV tonight. So this is a little bit more complicated than will, because the verb to be does depend on the subject. It does change depending on the subject. I am, you are, he is. So you have to pay attention to that. Okay, and in questions, the verb to be and the subject are inverted, and we have the verb to be, subject, going to, and the infinitive. For example, are you going to watch TV tonight? And the answer, yes I am, no I'm not. Okay, and the form of the present continuous. In positive and negative sentences, we have the subject, the verb to be, not if it's negative, and the verb plus ing. So similar to going to, you need to change the verb to be to match the subject. So again, a little bit more complicated than will. For example, I am having dinner with John tonight. I'm not having dinner with John tonight. You are watching TV tonight. You aren't watching TV tonight. Okay, and in questions, we have the verb to be, subject, they're inverted, verb to be, subject, and the verb plus ing. For example, are you having dinner with John? And the answer, yes I am. No, I'm not. So you need to be careful with going to and the present continuous because they do change depending on the subject. Whereas will, it's always the same. So the form is quite simple. But what we need to think about is the difference in meaning between these different structures. Why do we use one and not the other? Okay, let's have a look. The meaning of these three forms, what's the difference? Okay, there are things to ask yourself. Do you have plans? Do you have plans to do something with someone else? Are you not sure about your plans? And depending on your answer to these questions, it will indicate which verb form you should be using. If you have plans, you should be using going to. If you have plans to do something with someone else, definitely someone else is involved, we actually use the present continuous. And if you are not sure about your plans, we use will or won't when you decide in the moment of speaking. Okay, let's go to the first task, and in this task I would like you to match the sentences with the explanation of the sentence. So, for example, what are you doing this weekend? Number 1, I don't know, I think I'll go to the cinema. Number 2, I'm having dinner with Mark. Number 3, I'm going to dance all night at the party. Okay, in which sentence has A, an arrangement been made with someone else? B, do I talk about an idea for the evening? C, there is no definite plan and I am deciding while I am speaking. Okay, I'd like you to pause the recording and match the sentences 1, 2, 3 with the explanations A, B and C. Okay, pause the recording now and then let's come back together and have a look at your sentences. Okay, welcome back. How did you get on? Let's have a look. So here are the answers to task 1. What are you doing this weekend? Number 1, I don't know. I think I'll go to the cinema. Here there is no definite plan and I'm deciding what to do while I'm speaking. So this one goes with C. What are you doing this weekend? Number 2, I'm having dinner with Mark. Okay, the restaurant is already booked and an arrangement has been made with someone else, in this case Mark. So this matches with A. What are you doing this weekend? Number 3, I'm going to dance all night at the party. Here I talk about my idea for the evening, but there is no formal arrangement. So this matches with B. Okay, how did you get on? I hope that you can see the difference in meaning between the different structures and help you to choose which one to use when you're talking about your future plans. Okay, now let's move on and think about the difference between the present continuous or be going to. They're very, very similar, but there is a little difference. So, there is not much difference between the use of these structures. For example, I'm having dinner with Mark. I'm going to have dinner with Mark. But when we use the present continuous, it has been arranged with someone else. Whereas be going to is an idea, it's a plan that I've already thought about but it doesn't necessarily involve somebody else. Okay, so let's move on to task 2, and I'd like you to choose the correct tense, choose the correct option, think carefully about the meaning, think carefully about whether somebody else is involved or whether I'm deciding in the moment of speaking. Okay, so number 1. This weekend, Peter and I have booked the best restaurant in town. We are having, or we will have, dinner together. Number 2. Next weekend, I am going to dance at the disco. Number 3. My sister has got a new job and she is moving to America next month. Number 4. Soon I am living in Portugal. Number 5. Are you going to come and visit? Number 6. This evening, I will go to my friend's birthday party. Number 7. I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to the cinema. Okay, I'd like you to pause the slide and choose the best option for completing the sentence, thinking carefully about the meaning behind the sentence. So pause the recording now, and then we'll have a look at your answers together. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you got on. So here are the answers to task 2. Number 1, this weekend, Peter and I have booked the best restaurant in town. We are having dinner together. This is the present continuous because somebody else is involved. Number 2, next weekend, I'm going to dance at the disco. Here, if somebody else is involved is not important, but my plan is to dance at the disco. Number 3. My sister has got a new job and she is moving to America next month. Somebody has given her the job, so obviously somebody else is involved, so here we use the present continuous. Number 4. Soon I am going to live in Portugal. Maybe somebody else is involved. I don't know. This is not the important focus in the sentence, but it's a plan that I have decided. I am going to live in Portugal. Number 5. Will you come and visit me in Portugal? I'm asking you in the moment of speaking. I'm not asking about a plan, so I use will. Number 6. This evening, I am going to my friend's birthday party. Okay, this one is, it's very close to going to. It is going to, and it is the present continuous. It's the same here. Because if it were going to in full, it would be I'm going to go. But normally when we have going to and go, so it's the same verb, we just put it all together and use the present continuous. So this evening, I am going to my friend's birthday party. Number 7. I don't know what to do. I'm deciding in the moment of speaking. I think I'll go to the cinema. So we use will to show that we're deciding in the moment of speaking. Okay. How did you get on? I hope you can see the difference in meaning. And just to summarize, let's have a look at the next slide. So in summary, we use different tenses to talk about the future to express different degrees of certainty or organization. We use will or won't when we decide at the moment of speaking. We use going to when we decided before speaking. It's a plan. And we use the present continuous when we decided and arranged it with somebody else before speaking. Okay? Okay, let's think now about the use. Let's have a look at the use of the different structures and focus on sounding more natural when we use them. So, in natural spoken English, we use lots of contractions. It's not I will, it's I'll. So will becomes will. Will not, won't. I am, I'm. Are not, aren't. Is not, isn't. Okay, so in task 3, we're going to practice sounding more natural. I'd like you to look at these 6 sentences and identify where there would be contractions in spoken English. Okay? So I'd like you to pause the recording and mark where you would put contractions in these sentences. So pause the recording now and then we'll have a look together afterwards. Okay, welcome back. Let's see how you got on. So, in sentence number 1, I am going to France on holiday. I'm going to France on holiday. Number 2, my sister's going to live in America. Number 3, you're having friends over for dinner. Number 4, you aren't playing tennis this weekend. Number 5, Peter will probably have holiday soon. And number 6, Chris won't work this weekend. Okay, how did you get on? I hope you can see where the contractions normally go in spoken English. This is not very common in written English, definitely not in formal written English. In informal English, in an email or a text message, it's possible. But it's very common in spoken English. Okay, so in the next part of the lesson, we're going to practice lots of speaking using future time expressions, and I want you to use the contractions when you're talking. So the future time expressions we have, some will be familiar. Let's have a look. Today, what are you going to do today? What are you going to do later on today? What are you going to do in 5 minutes' time? What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do the day after tomorrow? What are you going to do on Friday? What are you going to do this weekend? What are you going to do the weekend after next? What are you going to do next year? What are you going to do in the near future? What are you going to do in a few years' time? And what are you going to do soon? So I imagine many of these are very familiar. Maybe less so the day after tomorrow, the week after next. They're not so common, but very much needed and very natural. So I'm going to ask you some questions about your future time, your future plan, and I would like you to practice using the contractions. So pause the recording and answer my question, and then you can listen to my answer to the question. So the first question we have, well, what are your plans? Is your diary busy like this man's diary? What are you doing the weekend after next? Pause the recording, have a think about it, and then come back and I will answer the question for me. Okay, welcome back. So what are you doing the weekend after next? What am I doing the weekend after next? I'm going to a friend's birthday party, and he is going to have his party in an escape room. I'm going to do an escape room in Spanish. Wish me luck. What are you going to do the weekend after next? Okay, the next question. Do you know what you are going to do this summer? Pause the recording and answer the question, remembering your contractions, and then come back and I will tell you what I am going to do this summer. Okay, welcome back. Okay, what are you going to do this summer? I'm going to work. That's sure. I'm going to work. Maybe I will have a holiday, but that's not arranged. That hasn't been thought about before. So we will see. What about you? What are you going to do this summer? Okay, and finally, the last question. Are you doing anything exciting in the near future? Okay, pause the recording now and answer the question using contractions, and then come back and you can hear my answer to the question. Okay, welcome back. Are you doing anything exciting in the near future? Yes, I am. I'm going to be moving house. I'm going to be moving into a house just down the road, and it's very exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. What about you? Are you doing anything in the near future? Anything exciting in the near future? Okay, so I hope that you can see the difference between the three structures that we've looked at today for talking about future plans, and I hope that you have got used to speaking more naturally using contractions and listening to them when I was speaking as well. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today, and see you next time for lesson 42, when we will be looking at planning a day out in your town, in your city, and we will be revising some of the language we've looked at today. So, thank you very much. Bye bye.